All right, got another minute to go, and then we can get started. Hope all you guys are well. I think we've got, what, 60 people so far. That's all right, Margot. I didn't know what you meant, but that's cool. Hey, Natalia. So Manure says, yeah, Roger Federer fan. Here's my RF. Yeah, I am. It's old t-shirt. He doesn't have his initials anymore. Well spotted, though. We had a new winner of a Grand Slam, first time in years that somebody broke through the three dominant guys. So it was good to see that. I love tennis too. Unfortunately, my body's so broken, I haven't been able to play. I was a very good tennis player. Hey, Lucia. Yesterday was fantastic. Thank you. All right. I'll get started. I'll share my screen real quick. So welcome to this session of the live 4-day trade execution webinar series, how to capitalize on monster moves in the markets. My name is Mark Shawson, the pattern trader. These are live events. It's funny how sometimes we get people on YouTube saying that this is a scam, what have you. Meantime, I'm analyzing markets in real time. And for the last 3 days, I've been telling you to buy Tesla, and you can see that Tesla closed right at the high. You know, we've analyzed this chart for the last 3 days, and we closed up $11. I think this company, so I was heavily short Beyond Meat. I have 14,000 shares here. Beyond Meat, I have many thousands of other shares in another account. So talk about that also. So this is Tesla. We talked about. I'm going to go through it very quickly. I'm going to get your ideas on what you're looking at. See if you're picking up anything here. So to me, the first thing I look for, I say, what is this chart doing? So it's been in an uptrend for many years now. And then once I spot the trend, then I look for the patterns that support the trend. Here you have a double bottom, and then you have this ascending triangle price pattern. You can see that we're right at this resistance level. And I imagine once we crack through here, we're going to go there. And that's what, looking at longer term charts, tells you. So this is a daily chart. I look at weekly charts, but I don't look at 5-minute charts. That just doesn't give you enough history. So once I understand the direction and then the pattern, then I look for what I call my insurance day bar. And here we saw that in the form of a key reversal. A key reversal simply means that this market made a new low and then closed on the high of the day. And this is why I look at bar charts and not candles. To me, it's very important how a market closes relative to its high and low. And you can see it just sold off tremendously that day and then closed. And so despite the fact that this thing got whacked, by the end of the day, the buyers were in control. And so once I, spot my insurance day bar, then I just layer it with an execution plan to put a, buy stop over the highs. And you could also put a buy stop above today at 756. And so that is my 4-step trade execution plan. I look at just price information. Doesn't matter what this chart is. It doesn't matter if it's corn or natural gas or the euro yen. I would analyze everything from a price standpoint. So this is completely objective. I only look at price. And based on what this chart is telling me, based on price, I think we are going to go considerably higher. Like I said, this is going to be the first step of the resistance level between 760 and 780. And then this projects like it's going to go to 900. So, that's Tesla. We've been talking about it for 3 days, and it's gone higher every one of the days we've been talking. The other big idea that I shared with you is BYND. We made new lows today, bounced a little bit, closed about unchanged. So you can see we made a new low, hit about 108.89, bounced a little bit, but to me, this has got nowhere to go but lower. There's many long-term and short-term patterns. Again, here's the double top here. Here's a head and shoulders. Those are both bear price patterns. And then you can see we've kind of had this rounding top here. And this is just going to, chuck and jive between here and 100. So there's kind of like no support left in this stock. I do expect that the next major, support area or some support will be around $100. But to my mind, I think we're going to crack much harder than that. And the stock is going to go way down. So those have been the two big ideas that I started on Monday telling you about, and they've gone lower every day that we've been talking. Yesterday, I sent out an email to those on my daily program. It's called the Elite Program, and I was looking at the chart price of RUN, and I suggested to our members to sell short at 43.50 on a stop, with a stop loss of 47.50, and then a take profit here. I basically said there's been many bear patterns. Recently run has formed a reverse triangle. Penetration below the key reversal will likely send prices lower. And that's what we saw today in the stock of RUN, RUN. So here is the price or the chart analysis of RUN. And here again, double top. To me, this is the governing price pattern. It looks like the letter M. So it's an M top or a double top. And this tells you that the trajectory is then going to be lower after the market has topped out. And then you can see in a series of more recent things, you have a double top and a head and shoulders here. You have a head and shoulders here. So you just have a dozen patterns telling you this thing's going lower. And then recently we formed this reverse symmetrical triangle. It doesn't really mean anything. I just look at how markets dance within certain patterns. Some mean something, some are more neutral. And then yesterday was what I call that key reversal. So this is the opposite of the reversal we saw in Tesla, when Tesla made a new low and closed on the high. In this case, it made a new high and closed on the low. So Tesla is going higher and this is going lower. So, all I'm trying to do is find ways to get in the direction of whatever instrument I'm looking at. I'm just looking to surrender to the will of the market, try and get in sync with the direction. And, the first thing I look at is, one, what is the direction? I think if I asked a 6-year-old, what is this market doing? Is it going up or down? So it's dropped from 100 to 42. So I think over the last 6 months or so. So this is a downtrending market. So once we understand it's a downtrending market, then we look for patterns and price action that gets us in sync with the market. So here was the key reversal yesterday. Basically, I said to our members, just simply put a sell stop under this low, and now you're in the trade. And now we'll see where it goes. And so that's how I analyze any chart. I don't care what the chart is. Over the weekend, I suggested getting short the euro versus the Japanese yen. And you can see that the euro versus the yen, both on the weekly and the daily. So I'll just show you quickly my FX trades. Nothing really to write home about, but I just want to kind of show you that I'm in a couple positions in euro yen and pound New Zealand. So here you can see I got in the euro yen over the weekend at 129.51 on a sell stop under the weekly bar, a long pound New Zealand, and then I got short yesterday. I added to my position in euro yen at 129.25, and I'm up a few grand. Nothing really to write home about. I haven't been really actively trading currencies. So what I was looking at over the weekend, and again, it's all about the same kind of analysis, identifying pattern and price action. So here I surmised that we were looking at potentially a head and shoulders. Now, we won't know this until it finally cracks this area. So this would be the final confirmation, but I'm a little bit aggressive. I just see some price action. So I saw this inside bar. So this was a weekly. So this is a weekly chart. Each one of these bars represents 1 week in time. And so I simply said to our weekly members on Sunday, put your sell stop at 129.51. And you can see the neat thing about this strategy is that you don't have to sit in front of your screen. So I think it took like a couple days. So after my email went out on Sunday, this market actually went higher. And so, if it kept on going higher, then guess what? My pending order wouldn't have been triggered. No harm, no foul. I simply would cancel it after the week and go on with my business. But this is the beauty. You just let the market put you in at the time and price that it's ready. So it went higher, came down, hit my sell stop, and now I'm just in this trade. So to me, trading should be effortless. I let the market do all the work. So this is why I require, confirmation. So I simply snuck my sell stop right under the low of this weekly low right here at 129.51. And you can see for the first few days, it went higher. But, I'm not watching the screen. I don't really care. This thing's just sitting there. And if it's good, it's just going to click me in and then go. And so, right now I got triggered into the trade. And the minute I got triggered in, I was never in a loss. So now I'm in this trade and we'll see where it goes. If it comes here and it triggers this neckline, I think it, has a lot of potential lower. So I have my stop loss. I'm in a bit of a profit. We'll see what happens. And so this is how I analyze all of my trades. So what I asked you yesterday to think about was that now I want to hear from you guys. I want to see how much you've picked up. First off, does this method of looking at the market and trading the market, does it make sense to you guys? Do you see the potential to, use this to make money, avoid the pitfalls, avoid the usual kind of, so I'm getting a lot of yeses. They're coming in so fast I can't. So Manera says yes, Steve Wood says yes, Yesser says yes, Vin says yes, Christopher, Joe says absolutely, Anderson says yes, Alexander says absolutely, Joe says yes, I'm starting with you, Muhammad. So Tobago says, oh yeah. So, okay, so now, so Ken says yes and no. That's fair. Lucia says this makes a lot more sense than anybody else I've listened to. So thank you very much for that. I frankly hear that a lot. When I first started the Pattern Trader, I'm a trader. I've never done professional webinars. I didn't know what I was doing when I got into this business. I've never kind of studied what to do or how to give a webinar. But, inevitably, a lot of people say this is the best thing that I've heard on the internet because it's real. What I'm showing you, I can't, massage. There's no magic EA. There's no, I'm showing you in real time what I'm doing in the markets and how the markets react to certain price action. So, intuitively, I understand it resonates, but it's nice to hear that. So Natalia says, I appreciate very much your methodology. Everyone uses all kinds of indicators that become utterly confusing. So Mark, you proved them wrong. And that was from Valazera. So what I asked you yesterday to do was to do a little bit of homework, go and find a chart. I don't care what it is, a commodity, a forex pair, a stock, and then tell me what you would do if you want to buy or sell something. So hopefully somebody out there has some ideas. I don't want to do all of the talking here. I'd like you guys to, I'd like to know that. So Helder says Pfizer. So I don't want you to just say the name of, so Philip says JKS short. I want you to tell me why. I want you to say, I'm selling short because I see this, this, and this. So Jan says AVLR, a double top, it's a sell. So let's look at AVLR. like a little bit more detail, where to sell, what to do, what your risk is. So yeah, so some tops, not all tops are created equal, and I do not agree with Jan on this at all. So clearly there is a top here. So what I do is I look at, how the market reacts to certain areas. So you can see clearly there was a double top here, and now you could say, well, there's a triple top. But if this is a top, you should see the market action, very quickly coming off. A top should be that. It should top and then die. But this actually is a case of higher lows and higher highs. So all this is basically a consolidation at this major area. And I think this looks like it's, going to make another leg up. So I kind of disagree with that. I kind of see this, first off, what is the direction of this trade? So the direction of this trade is clearly in an uptrend. Now, trends do end, and when they end, they put on a chart pattern that we can recognize, and it signals another way. But I'm not seeing that. And again, this is a weekly chart, and this is the beauty of using a longer term chart. On a 5-minute or 15, or maybe even the daily, it looks like there's something. That's why I like to peel out and see a global pattern. And so frankly, to me, this is an up market. And then within this up market, like Tesla, here's the double bottom, kind of inverted head and shoulders. And here was the neckline. And you can see it broke out the neckline, retested. And then once it breaks above there, now this confirms this is actually going to go higher. So I'm glad you actually brought this to me, Jan. I respectfully disagree with you. I think that this is actually going to go higher. But thank you for submitting. Don't be afraid. And again, I don't know. I don't have a hand of God here. I'm just giving you kind of my opinion. So even on the daily, I don't see a pattern that is going to turn around this very prolific uptrend. So you can see on the daily, just with 6 months of history, that basically all we're doing, like Tesla's right now, is we're just consolidating. So whenever you get to a major area that you have had a sell-off from and you come back to it, it's not unusual to see it digest that high. You can see we basically broke to a new high here, and then we broke down. But to me, I think the more work this does in here, the more it's going to set in motion, for the next move higher. So I'm actually going to write this down and put in my notes as something that I would look to buy. This actually looks pretty strong to me. So, if this starts kind of getting in here and doing more work without breaking down, eventually I think it's going to go higher. But thanks for submitting that, Jan. I appreciate that. So Christopher says CAD yen, there's a daily head and shoulders from February on the watch list for the confirmation. So let's look at CAD yen. So let me peel. So when this kind of looks tricky to me, this is kind of in a stealth kind of downtrend, but I see all of these, key reversals higher, so it looks tricky to me. These yen pairs are really tricky right now. I can't really sort them out. I've been looking at these yen pairs for a while. Let me actually put on more time. So the more time, the more history we have, the better. So I'm just going to put on more time here. There we go. So let's kind of back this up a little bit. So this is a very tricky chart. And when something's ambiguous, I kind of leave it alone. I look for things that are very clear to me. So I can kind of see, who is the person that submitted this? Christopher. I can kind of see what you're talking about with this head and shoulders looking thing here. And so what I do is I kind of look at the pattern and then I see how the market trades within this pattern. So you can see all the way, this is a weekly chart going back quite some time to 2013 or 14. And you can see this was the major top, the double top, head and shoulders that set in motion, kind of a decline in this thing. And now we kind of, have bounced here. And so the question is this like now a bottom that's going to send this higher? Or, are we going to go back in the direction as indicated by this trend and thing? So I could make the case for both. And I think this is what Christopher was looking at, this head and shoulders here. And so to me, what I would be looking for is confirmation, probably under, certainly this area here and then finally here. So if it, cracked, here and then there, which is, I guess, the 85 area, I would look at to set in motion another move lower. So we have that there. We also have this kind of guy right here, this double top. So you do have these very kind of bearish patterns, standing in the way of progress. And, the direction has been lower. Obviously, this has been kind of, but yeah. So I think you're right. I mean, this does look like a head and shoulders. And, I think it just looks like it's going to take some time to get there. I think, euro yen looks easier. Let me just see what dollar yen is doing. That's something that I'm always keeping my eye on. I think dollar yen is setting up for a very fertile opportunity. I've made a lot of money shorting dollar yen. So, Christopher, thanks for that. I think you were right. I think it does look like it's setting up. I just want to kind of chat a little bit about this dollar yen because I think it's setting up for, a phenomenal opportunity. So there are just all kinds of bear price patterns that I've been trading. So this to me has been the governing price pattern for a long time, for many, many years. And so every bounce I've been shorting this dollar yen. Now, this latest bounce got a little tricky, got me a little wondering, but I still think we're going to break lower. So in the last couple of years, you've been trading within the confines of this descending triangle. And descending triangle, they can be neutral. So you could either, break out and go that way, or it can go, this way. And, based on the number of touches within this triangle, to my mind, I think that we're going to come back here. To me, whenever you get so many touches, it's like, beyond meat at the 113. I don't think that sets in state, sets the stage for a, huge move lower. But on the other hand, you did have this breakout. And I've been looking at this breakout, as to whether, so you can see it broke above this trend line, but, got going. And now for the last several weeks, it just, there's no energy to the upside, and it looks like it's going to roll over. And to my mind, once you break back into the geography here, then, you're going to, come back lower. And the neat thing is, if this thing, breaks lower, we know where the take profit is. It's right back to the low. And this time, I don't think it will stop at that low if it gets down there. So I think we're looking at, a great opportunity here in dollar yen. And you can see it's just, I'll just peel out of here to show you a little bit closer history. For the last 2 months, it's just, gone back and forth in a very small range. So not quite sure why that didn't give me a bigger perspective, but there, that's better. Right, so here's dollar yen. And so we can see that this is the triangle that we've been bouncing in. And every time it bounced within this triangle over the last couple of years, I've just been shorting at the top every time it bounces. And so, but, once it kind of broke through here, I was, saying maybe this is, it's breaking cadence. So when something starts I look at how I draw my structure, and then I watch how prices trade within the structure. And if this had kept going higher, then to me, obviously, it would have been a breakout. But you can see now that we're just leaking back, and we're about to sneak back into this triangle. But it's been slow. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you're talking about 3 months of just going nowhere. And so I've been kind of just counseling our members just to be patient. And the way to handle this is really to put a sell stop underneath here and let the market do all the work for you. Or, you could put a buy stop above here. So you could kind of, triangulate this thing and let the market do all. And when it's ready to go, 3 weeks from now, or, 3 months from now, if it triggers you, you're likely to be put into a good trade. And then if you're really conservative, you could put a sell stop about 107.25. And if it came back down there, then I think it's very reasonable to think that you would see a multi-hundred pip move out of there. So thanks for bringing up the yen trade, Christopher. Philip says, JKS has got a huge rounding top last year with a recent double top, not more clear, but still more downside. So that was JKS. I think that had earnings today. So this is the weekly chart of JKS. So whenever I see kind of this, these are like parabolic markets that usually just exhaust themselves. You can see where the ranges are very small, and then it just goes parabolic. And that usually indicates the end. I called the top of gold at 2100 after I noticed this parabolic move. So I do think that this looks like a very troubled chart, to say the least. You can say this is one top, and this is another top, and it does feel like this thing wants to ultimately collapse again. Let me look at the daily real quick. Yeah, so even the daily, I can just look at this, and so you can see if people look at candlesticks, and that's one view. I like to look at bars because it just kind of gives me a flavor for where the support and the resistance are. So I can trade these. So yeah, I think this ultimately looks very bearish, even though you had a key reversal today. So it did have earnings, which popped it higher. You can see that this is an area of support. But to my mind, all reversals are not created equal. So I don't just trade a reversal, every time I see one. You've got to look at their overall cadence and trend. So to me, this is still kind of a downward trending market. You had this kind of symmetrical triangle or descending triangle actually here that you broke out of. And then you had another. Here's a double top here. So and so you basically rallied to the resistance here. And so I don't think you'll see this high. And if you start taking this high out, then maybe it would signal a turnaround. So yeah, I think that ultimately this goes lower over time. I do. So I would just wait for another set of reversals or something until it's ready, it's not quite ready to go yet. So alternatively, sometimes you see, areas where you can get what I call a trading rally. So even though I would be very bearish this chart, you can see that there are times where I call this a counter trend rally, where the trend is lower, but markets don't go in one direction. And sometimes they give you an indication. So here was a perfect double bottom right there. And then, you had, you look at the price action. Let me just change this color. We see made a new low, close on the high, made a new low, close on the high. So actually BABA looks like that now. Now, sometimes we can just look at these things and, get a trading rally. Even though this thing looked ugly, this set the stage for, a nice rally. But, now I think that rally's been exhausted and it's going to go back in the direction of its kind of trend and governing patterns. So the market gives us all kinds of looks and all kinds of opportunities. And so, the big picture is lower, but there are times where you would, obviously buy this thing. But I would not buy this, even though this looks like a double top here, a double bottom. I really wouldn't buy that. I still think, this looks like it's, this reversal, and this reversal are still controlling the action. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this kind of start failing in here. Let's see what else. Do you do Ether or Bitcoins? I do, Joe, but it's got a really weird history. But I look at everything from price action. So Dia said, it's very interesting to hear talk about charts that you're just looking at for the first time. So I can see these charts in my sleep. I've been trading for so long. Says, DE looks like a buy. It's making another double bottom on the daily and bouncing off the trend line. Yeah, I think so too. You might have heard me this morning in my morning session. We were looking at DE. This is deer. And so, yeah. So sometimes, these charts are a little bit tricky. They're a little bit tricky, areas, but by and large, if I asked you, what's the direction of this trend? You'd have to say it's an uptrend. Now, trends do end. And, when they put on double tops, but you see, this didn't, confirm it. It has to go through that neckline to confirm it. So sometimes these things stop short and they go back in the other direction. So the trend is still higher. And to me, within the trend is this double bottom. You can see that every time it bounces on this, trend line, it catches a bid and starts going back the other way. So now we have this, little reversal here. And again, I would watch this area. If we start kind of collapsing through here, this would maybe signal that this is a formidable top. And if we broke the trend line and the neckline at the same time, I could see then a break out of here. So for right now, this isn't a real strong buy signal. So you've come down real hard, and I don't see this thing going up against that. So it's in a bit of a tricky area, and I'd be inclined just to leave this alone or kind of give this a little bit more time to see, how much, we're inclined to bounce off here. So, to my mind, it's just, there's no rules, but once you come down this fast, you don't go up right away. So I would be kind of just an observer. This is just kind of in the middle right now of, a wide trading band, and, it may just need time. So I usually look for patterns or trades that go from one direction or one level to the other. If you're just going to start, doing this for a while, then I'm going to let that do that for a while. Like the dollar yen has been doing that for 3 months. And, I'm going to trade the dollar yen, but when it's ready to go, I'm not going to trade through something like this. So I'm always looking for opportunities that are ready to go from one level to the other. And so this one is, so that's the daily. Let me just check out the weekly. So again, I don't know about you guys, candlesticks gives you one view, but high, low, close gives me. So again, deer is in this profound or prolific uptrend. Trends just don't end, so, I don't see this as a double top. I don't really see that happening. But on the other hand, we've had a huge thing here, and I don't know. I would put this in kind of a bucket of leave it alone. So I think that double bottom is likely to kind of control this, but you may go into a year-long trading range here. So I would kind of just for now leave that alone. But thanks for that, so I'm just going through. Shatan says, would pound yen also follow the same bearish? So where's pound yen? So I've been looking at these yen pairs for a while, trying to figure out what they want to do. I could, make a case for both sides. And sometimes when I do that, I just kind of go out even higher. So this is the monthly time frame. Each one of these bars is 1 month in time. And so you can see the more time you have, the more kind of perspective you have. And so now all I'm doing with this monthly chart is saying, okay, you can see how this thing hit this downtrend line perfectly. I mean, just perfect. See how they come to certain areas, and it's no, surprise or shock that they stop short right there. It's right on this, long-term downtrend line. So now the question is, are you going to start turning, this thing around and go through this downtrend line, or are you going to, pop back in this secular primary downtrend? And, to my mind, it's still an open question. I've been looking at these yen pairs, and you can see this is months. So it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 months of just doing nothing. So I want to get on something when it's ready to do something. And so, again, here is this resistance level that it's respected so far. And again, I could make the case of this thing breaking out either way. And you can see we're making a, kind of a symmetrical triangle here. So to my mind, whichever way this is inclined to break out of this triangle is probably going to give you your first clue, where this is going to go in the next big direction. But you can see that, this is the monthly chart, and we're boxed up right now. We're halfway through the month. So might just have to let this whole month, kind of go by, and then, see which way it wants to go. Alternatively, there are ways to play this where, you don't have to figure it out. Just let the market do all the work, put a sell stop there, or, a buy stop, here, and, go about your business. So, I do feel that this thing, is going to come back down, but, I could certainly be probably convinced otherwise. So when, something's just in an ambivalent stage, I'm just going to leave it alone. I try and find things that I'm pretty certain of. So, there's kind of a couple ways to look at this thing. So when you look at a short-term chart, this looks like a double bottom, inverted head and shoulders. It broke this neckline, and now we're just somewhat just playing around this breakout area. But, on the other hand, you kind of got to this, resistance level, and you're starting to leak lower. And now you have a bit of a reversal on the weekly, although we won't know where this is going to close until Friday. So we have to wait to see what that bar looks like. And I would be inclined to just wait, and then you could always put a sell stop under the weekly lows and let the market confirm what you're doing and put your buy stop there. And that's your risk, and that could be a reward. But I suspect that this still has, a lot of backing and filling to do before it gets to where it wants to go. So I'm just watching those yen pairs, but they're looking like they want to leak lower right now. Helder says Pfizer is an Adam and Eve top on the daily PFE. So this is the weekly. This looks like a bull trap on the weekly. So I'll go and take a look at the daily in a minute. But, if I look at the weekly, you can see that we broke out of this long-term area here. And now we've broken back down below. So this just sets the stage for all of these guys who chased this breakout. They're now trapped up there. So you call this a bull trap, where all these bulls, got, going on this momentum, and now they're sucking wind and they're trapped up there. So it's called a bull trap. Now, we'll see what happens. It's, kind of looks like a bit of a double top in here and looks pretty ugly. We'll see what, goes on. Let's see what it looks like on the daily. The different time frames can give you kind of a different look. So this is the daily too, and it's starting to want to kind of revisit this. And then, that certainly is, double top. And so I look at, how, so you have the double top here, but then I also look at the price action. And this to me is why bar charts are, why I look at bar charts, because I see the pattern, but then I also want to look at the price action. And the price action told me everything. Made a new high, close on the low. Made a new high, close on the low. So at the exact area where it went before, it failed on the price. So when you see this a second time, you could just put your, sell stop under there, and now you're into this trade. So, this kind of looks, if you peel out, it looks like this is one top up here. And I think this is what you mean by, this is actually an Eve and Adam double top, where the Eve is multiple attempts at one resistance and an Adam is a single attempt. So whatever you want to call it, when you step back, this is starting to look like an M top, even though the one top is much higher than the other. This is what we saw in Beyond Meat, where one top was considerably, but now Beyond Meat's down there. And so the top can have, a couple of different looks, but when we look back, this is starting to look like an M top. We could, do some work here, but it does feel like we, this thing's kind of broken. So, but I think, again, something that goes straight up usually needs, some work before it goes down. So I just think that this needs to do some backing and filling before we kind of cough up another level. But thanks for that, Helder. So Jan says, tell is a WW bottom. Wait for a breakout, financial, so TEL. What do you say? It was a double bottom? It's a buy. Yeah, well, first off, it's a $3 stock, so don't really want to mess around with these. It's a penny stock, and I would not mess around with that. It basically is on balance a big downtrend. So Joseph, what are your thoughts on Dow 30? So I want to hear your thoughts. I want you to tell me a chart and what you think something's going to do. I don't want to just, so Raymond says pound dollar long. I want to know why. I want to know if you're picking up what I'm trying to impart here. Gareth says a head and shoulders on a euro odd daily. Yeah, I think this is kind of a tricky one. So on the daily, well, so first off, I'm looking at the weekly, okay, and I'm looking at what is happening as well as what's not happening. So I'll go to the daily in a moment. And so on one hand, you could almost say that this looks like one of these wacko looking double tops and maybe even a head and shoulders. But, I don't think so. It's like, so first off, if this was a double top, it basically, this is what we should see transpiring. Instead, this kind of has been making higher lows and higher highs and going in the opposite way that is indicated by that pattern. So when I look at a pattern, then I look at what the market does after the pattern. And to me, what should transpire if this was a bearish pattern is something like that. But now we're just seeing higher highs and higher lows, which is kind of the opposite of a downtrend. So and if you peel back and you look at this, this has actually been in a long-term uptrend. So I think this is kind of a stealthy, you can see the double bottom here. I feel like this is going to go the other way. So, always best to look at a very long time frame and then peel back one after the other. And so again, I can see what you're saying here, but you're looking. So what I see here, and again, I don't have a line to God. I can and will be wrong all the time, but what I see in this chart, so you're looking at the immediate time frame here, and you're saying that this looks like a head and shoulders. And if it was, basically it would need to come through this neckline to confirm it. We'd have to go through 159, and then we could say, yeah, maybe. But I don't think so. I think that what's dominating this market is this guy here, this double bottom. So if a market has bottomed over time, it's going to do what? So to me, this is the governing pattern. And you can see how the market tries to shake you out. But if you understand what the governing pattern is, then you can use these shakeouts to go the other way. So I think this is a sneaky looking turnaround operation. Says Visa looks like a good long-term buy. It's bottomed out and sitting on a support line, overall uptrend. So that's this actually looks pretty ugly. So I think it looks like it's broken support. So here was the support line, and it looks like we broke it. Now, sometimes you can have a retest, but I would look to probably sell it on that retest. So, you know, here was kind of the pattern. You have this double top, head and shoulders looking thing. You've somewhat broken this neckline. Now, sometimes you get a retest of these breakout areas, but I don't know. This starting to look like it's starting to leak. Let me look at the weekly here. I see what you mean on the weekly. But even then, it looks like this is really looking pretty funky here. So I guess this is the long-term trend line you were referring to. But I don't know, this kind of looks bad in here. So, you know, we'll see. So we're right at this inflection point. So if we kind of crack this trend line as well as the neckline, it could open up and move lower. So I would kind of leave that. I certainly wouldn't get long right here. Let's see. Dewey says OVV made a double bottom, now ready to break higher. OVV. You know, these kind of charts, you know, there's a lot of these things where they've had a huge historical break. They put on something, but I don't know. You have to get past these guys. I don't know about this one. I wouldn't think so. See, the more history you have, the more this looks. So this kind of looks like the Euro chart. So this is just a breakdown of a descending triangle. So this is what the dollar yen, you know, has been in. And this is what happens with the a descending wedge. So you broke down, you know, came to the breakout area, put on a triple top, and now I feel like you're just going to keep going lower. So I would not. So yeah, this, you know, has the look of something, but I would be, you know, pretty shocked that we would even get above this guy and certainly that guy. So I don't know, you know, watch it, but I don't like to look at this long. This is a long-term downtrend. Trends do change. But when they do, I want to see some big bars here. I want to see some high degrees of confidence where, you know, you have a big bottom, some juicy thing that looks like something. This is, kind of whatever, but I feel like it could just very quickly be back down there again. So George says AMBA seems to have broken out. So you have to tell me why it's broken out which way, what the governing patterns are. Odd Swiss, Joseph said odd Swiss is a sell on a double top. Yeah, well, the long-term chart is certainly lower. The problem with these Swiss charts is that you got to have the patience of Job, and you've got to pay all these swap fees while you're sitting here. So I do think this looks like it wants to go lower. I do agree with you. I just don't know that you want to play in these pairs. It just will take forever. So George says a monthly AMBA chart is a rounded bottom and a double peak now negated. AMBA. So the monthly chart, well, look at this thing. This certainly looks like it's off to the races. So this is an example of price action that, doesn't work. So yeah, so you see how some, areas where, okay, this looks like a double top. And so prices should do that. But then all of a sudden you see this guy here. And whenever you see something like this buried in a position, made a new, and this is a monthly reversal right there. So you can see that prices didn't go down. So they broke, but then they didn't go down for 3-4 months. They just didn't go down. And what doesn't go down is going to go the other way. So I look at patterns and then I look, how does the market respond to that pattern? If we see a pattern, we should just keep going out of it. So like Beyond Meat, where is this thing? So maybe, here's, a head and shoulders here. And so once we see a pattern, then prices should go in the direction as indicated by the pattern. Now we see patterns all the time. If you see a double top, but all of a sudden it doesn't go down, it's like Tesla. Tesla had a bit of a, top up here, but, if it doesn't go down, eventually it's going to break out of there. So this is what took me decades to kind of understand the difference between what you see in a textbook and how markets trade. So what I do is I look for my structure and then I see how the market responds to that structure. So my expectation if I see this is for something like that. But, sometimes if we just sneak through here and then all of a sudden we got this, and now all of a sudden it's back there, all of a sudden, I'm getting all kinds of flashing warning signs that, what doesn't go down is going to go up. And so, George, that, I think AMBA, is blown through that high and, looks like it's the path of least resistance is higher. Okay, anybody else with any ideas? So Philip says Dow Jones looks like it's not able to break out to the upsides. So the indexes have been kind of a real challenge here. I haven't really, I usually buy, puts or calls on indexes. This does look like but these indexes have always looked like something, and then they put themselves together again. Right here, it looked like you had the same kind of look that you have here, kind of a cup and handle you had here, and then it just put itself together and, made a new high. You have exactly the same, pattern there as you're forming there. And so it's like Humpty Dumpty. It manages to put itself together. Basically this is the Fed. You're just fighting a sea, an ocean of liquidity. So you can see that we have basically, we snuck through here, and, we'll have to see. I mean, I do think that, we have this rounding top. It does look like there's a lot of action we would have to get through here. But for right now, it's just really hard to handicap these indexes. I can't see them coming down a lot. So, what could happen is you just get, a long sideways. So indexes are very hard to, handicap. Individual stocks, to me, it's a market of stocks, not a stock market. Some are going up and some are going down. So I'm short Beyond Meat, I'm long Tesla, and it doesn't matter what the market does. Says DAVA looks like a buy. Earnings are next week. It's been consolidating. It's been uptrend. DAVA. I don't know if I know that one. Yeah, well, path of least resistance is higher. You're at some, resistance levels. Earnings, can go either way. So earnings are always a crapshoot, and you're at a resistance area. You've got a bit of a key reversal here. So I don't know. The thing is, I look at markets as energy, and I mean, this has just been amazing. It's straight up, and you've got a weekly, reversal here that indicates that, this is still going to, keep going higher. But, I kind of like look at markets in terms of energy, where I was going to say they don't go straight up, but this has gone straight up. I like to, kind of, to me, markets do this. And so I like to buy, on, the dip before it goes. It's very hard to buy, at the top here, where, there's been little, there's just been no dissipation of energy. I mean, this is an amazing looking chart. So I wouldn't fight it, but on the other hand, I don't know, man, if you weren't there for the wedding, you don't want to be there for the funeral. So I don't know. Probably shouldn't read too much into it. This empirically looks like it should go higher. Maybe earnings will pop it higher, but when you kind of start getting, you can see how the volatility is starting to expand. You can see the high to low is much more extreme than the previous high to lows. So that's an early warning sign. Now you could get, many levels of volatility before, it kind of craps out. So I wouldn't get in front of this thing and short it, but I don't know. It's an uptrend, and you take your chance. Everything's about risk and reward. So it's just, okay, where do you, it's not about, is this a buy or sell? It's what is your risk? So where do you get in? What is your risk? You basically got to buy it here and then risk to there. And so, you just take a very small position and, see if it works out. Yeah, Raymond, I got to figure that out. So people saying, what are your thoughts on this or that? I want to see what you guys are digesting, and if you guys are able to spot the trends. And so I'm using kind of this to analyze charts, but also I want to see how much you guys are picking up too. So I'll analyze a few more, and then so Joseph says, how come you don't use candles? Because I can see the bars much better. So to me, when this makes a new high, new low, and close on the high, I can see it much clearer. To me, the bars point much clearer than candles do. But whatever works for you. Let's see. Philip says, Disney looks like we have a large term rounding bottom, inverted head and shoulders, so potential upside. So I was looking at Disney, kind of broke down this week, but it might have just been a fake breakdown and a good opportunity. So yeah, I mean, longer term, I agree with that. This does look like it's in an uptrend. So the trend is higher. And you've been just hugging that uptrend line perfectly. And then you kind of have this rounding bottom here. And you know, these guys kind of tell you right there that key reversal made a new low, closed on the high, made a new low. So you have that double bottom, rounding bottom. So with the word bottom in there, you can see it's trading above this neckline. It looks like it's going to come back into this open space. So Disney does look good. It may take, you know, into next week. But I agree with that. So yeah, it's an uptrend, and then you've kind of on the daily too, you've kind of got this, you know, double bottom here, and then you know, this rounding bottom, if you will. And so what I look at is when you get to a resistance level, how does the market behave at that resistance level? Meaning, you know, does it respect that resistance and now you get this? Or does it, you know, keep hanging around there? The more it kind of hangs around there, the more it's setting a foundation, you know. And, you know, I always have a saying, the bigger the base, the more into space. So this is setting up a stage for a kind of a monster move, you know, at least back to 200. And so you see, we have the direction, one, you have the pattern, rounding bottom, double bottom, two. And then today you have this key reversal, made a new low, close on the high. So that's three. And, you know, the way I would handle this is basically put a buy stop above today's high right there. Today's high was, where's Disney? 184.66. We closed right on the high, 184.41. So you could put, you know, buy stop at 185, 84.75 or what have you, slightly above today's high. And that's what I would do. So that's the layered approach. Phase of the market, it's an up market. Where's the pattern? Here's the double bottom, rounding bottom, two. Insurance day bar, three. Trade execution plan, put a buy stop above the high. And that's all you have to do on your trades. And then, you know, basically you put your buy stop here, your sell stop there. That's your risk and that's your reward. So I like Disney very much. So Raymond on the chart with the bars, right clicks and select data. Sorry, where do I go? Right click, select data series. And then save it as a preset bottom right above the apply button. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I just changed from one ninja to the other and have been struggling with that. Thanks very much, Raymond. Let's see, Philip says, don't you think that on ARC we have the possibility to create an inverted head and shoulders? I was looking at ARC today, and actually I think ARC looks bearish. So an inverted head and shoulders is bullish. ARC looks I don't know. I've been looking at this thing and I think it's still bearish, but we'll see. And I'll look at this in one more and then I'll call it a day. So to me, what I see on ARC is you kind of have this funky ascending triangle, ascending broadening triangle, which is inherently bearish. And again, what I do is I look at my structures and see how the market responds. Obviously, if the market goes higher, then it's not respecting that. But if it rolls lower, so to me, we broke out of this ascending broadening pattern right here. And now we've just been kind of, in this back and forth. We've kind of got a triple top over here. So, I would look at this area right here. If we get here, it looks like it could open up another move. So I don't know. I think ARC on balance to me looks more bearish than anything. But, we're just locked up in this kind of wedge area here. And, if we started coming out the other side of it, I would, take another look. But frankly, for me, if I had to bet on one way or another, I actually think this looks more bearish than any other. And even on this short term time frame. So why does this not give me a permanent, open high low? So whenever I do the reset, it just doesn't give it to me, Raymond. So this is ARC, and I'm looking at this series of bearish. So you see this head and shoulders here, and basically all you've been doing is treading water along this neckline. So you've been, thrusting, and now, a failure below here to me would just open up a move lower. So I see what you mean by the inverted head and shoulders. So you would look at it this way. So this is why, sometimes when I try, it's like the flip side of a coin. You can turn it upside down. You can see chart patterns everywhere. So that is, but, then you really need to have a confirmation. If this was an inverted head and shoulders, then that it would look like that. And, if it went above 130, I would say you're right. But for right now, I would, I would think that this is inherently bearish, and then you've got this triangle here, kind of this descending triangle that it's just navigating. So you could kind of just back and fill in here. I'd watch that kind of action. I think we're going to do that. But on the other hand, if we come out and go to 130, then you'll be right. I just kind of look at this resistance area and see these guys right here. Key reversal there. So these guys are guarding the gate. You can see why it's no accident every time it comes there. This was kind of a bull trap where you snuck above there, but those reversals told you that that was a meaningful rejection area. And you can see that, from 130, it got snapped back. So I think we're going lower. Okay, I'll do it on the weekly too. Wait a minute. Thanks for helping me, by the way. Oh, I didn't press save. Thank you. So preset, and where do I hit save? So preset week, save. Okay, so Yeah, that seems to work. Thank you very much, Raymond. I'm useless with some of these things. And I was going to call their tech support. I really appreciate that. All right, so let's take a look at one more else. Carolee says LKQ is in a nice trading range and has been moving around to support line with higher lows, could advance to the top of the trading range. LKQ, I haven't heard of that one. Yeah. This looks phenomenal. So this is kind of like what Pfizer looked like. So, charts, they respond to a pattern, and then you see, how they respond. So Pfizer kind of looked like this, where this is like a kind of a double bottom, head and shoulders, and then you broke above here. And typically you get some kind of retest. You didn't get all the thing. And now the fact that you've made a new high above that retest basically says that this thing is going higher. You have this kind of ascending triangle here, and this thing is going higher. And you can see buried in here are all these key reversals that tell you, where this price is going to go. So you have direction, you have all of these things, and you broke out here. So Pfizer broke out like this, but then it failed. So, the thing is to see how markets react at certain levels, at certain areas, to certain patterns. And so this looks phenomenal. What is this? LKQ. That actually looks like a really good call. So I agree with you. This is an uptrending thing. You've got a path of least resistance is higher. I'm sure the daily is going to tell us the same story. So this has just been in a monster uptrend. You're just hugging this trend line. And then, at the top here, you form this kind of ascending triangle, and you're just about to break through the top of that. So yeah, I think that this is, this looks really good. Let me just kind of look at it on the monthly. It probably looks somewhat extended, to say the least. So, I mean, again, this has been straight up. The path of least resistance is higher. Again, it's hard to buy something like this. I don't think there's a great deal of risk. I don't think this comes off a lot, but I like to see some kind of energy that has been dissipated. But this is just a monster. This is just a monster. So you probably just need to just close your eyes and buy it. You see, buried in here was this double bottom here, broke that neckline and never looked back. Broke that, never looked back. So path of least resistance in this is higher. So John says, if a symbol is at an all-time high, how do you set a target? Well, I don't, really set target. I shouldn't say that. Some patterns tell you, like we did a measurement of Beyond Meat. So I would basically measure the size of this pattern from top to bottom. So from 37 to whatever this is, 12, $25. And then just add it to this, add 25 or add 75% of 25, call it $20, which puts you, right about there. Sometimes that's, gives you a rough idea, but I let the markets tell me where they want to go to, where the levels are. Obviously, when something is breaking into new areas, we can't really know. and then you basically just let it do its thing and let it tell you where it wants to go. And, you know, if it's starting looking like it's going to fail, it will tell you that. David says, thanks for sharing all your knowledge. I found tonight very useful. You're welcome, David. Oh, I didn't press save. I thought I did. Carolee, you're welcome. John, you're welcome. So I would really appreciate if you guys would share your thoughts on this. It gives me a lot of feedback. So I'm going to put this link in the chat box here. I would really appreciate knowing. You can do this tomorrow if you like. I'm just going to hand this out to everyone now. Just knowing, you know, if this is coming across, if this is useful, if it's bollocks, feel free to say you had a bad experience and then tell me why, because this feedback's important to me. And if you had a good experience, don't just say, hey, this was great, tell me, and then share with others. So it's really important. You know, we have a lot of people coming on the review website intentionally giving me a bad review, and you should understand that most of those, there's an intention behind it. So they have, when somebody gives me a bad review, it's in an effort to redirect you to their site. So that's why I try and offset it with, as many decent reviews or reviews. I'm not telling you what to say or how to say it. You put in your own words, but I really appreciate if you could do that. So Joe says, how to join your program? So I'm sure our support team will get in touch with you, Joe. We have a number of programs support at, and I'm sure they'll get in touch with you. I just do the front stuff. I don't sell. I don't care if you buy. I don't. So yes, it says, you are the only real person I have ever met. So I try and be authentic. Yes, sir. I think this world, there's, most people are full of shit. And so I really try and, be that way, because I get very tired of kind of the misrepresentation, the mistrust in the world that we live in. So, I just try and stay true to myself and hopefully, give something back. So Carolee says, I appreciate you stuck to your guns about critiquing participants' reviews rather than answering just stock questions with no analysis opined. So I try and tell it like it is. And, look, I'm wrong plenty. It's just one man's opinion. Linda says, thank you for your time and sharing your experience. So Linda, if you post a review and, if you liked it, Galen says, thank you, Mark. You are the best. So I really appreciate it. Again, if you guys would post a review, I would really appreciate it. John says, thank you, Mark. I appreciate the analysis and higher time frame. So I think that's key. It's, key to life. The more history you know, and unfortunately, I think a lot of us don't know the history. So we have a very populist culture that just reacts to everything, that's happening today with no idea of what came before us. And in trading, if you don't know what came before you, you're not going to be successful in making the bigger moves in the markets. So this is what I strive for: finding charts like this where you can buy something at 30 and see it go to 50. So this is what I look for. I look for 3 or 5 moves like this a year, and it keeps the lights on. Rick says, double tops and bottoms don't have to have the same size of bottoms. No. So they can look all kinds. So you can see, we saw a double bottom, on a thing that had I forgot what chart it was. It was actually a down chart, but it had a double bottom. So, you can have big, wide things, and then the market come down, do a little double bottom, and then, have a trading rally off that. So, size doesn't matter, in the markets. It's just, they put on these little things, and, Peloton and Zoom did that quite some time ago. I remember like 3, 4, 5 months ago, I said, these things are going down, but they're going to have a trading rally. So Zoom is something that I've been very bearish on for a long time. There's just so many bear price patterns in Zoom. This is ticker symbol ZM. And you can see that you had a double top here, the head and shoulders. So this was your governing pattern. So you can tell you every rally was a sale. But it's not to say that the market doesn't rally. And so right here, I noticed there was a very little double bottom. You can see how narrow. It's really 3 bars made a bottom, and you had a $100 trading rally, $120. So you can have big, bottoms, small bottoms, but then you had a double top here, a double top here, and now you've really broken this thing. This thing broke its neckline here, and now it's gone. And I think this stock gets cut in half from here. So stocks, some stocks are going up, some are going down. Rick, you're welcome. Natalia, thank you. Alexander, thanks. This all makes perfect sense for me. Jonathan, your sincerity and authenticity certainly come through. Thank you, Jonathan. That means a lot to me. Lucia says, I found this so useful. The charts are looking a lot clearer to me now. Yeah, so to me, it's all a visual. I don't care what this is. Natural gas, corn, the Canadian dollar versus the Japanese yen. It all starts with, what is this thing doing? If I open up a chart, the first thing I say, okay, what is the phase or the condition of the market? Is this kind of going up or is it going down? And, if I asked a 6-year-old, what is this doing? You'd have to say that this dropped from 580 to 280, in the last year. And then what are the patterns? What's the price action? And, so I think, again, this thing, is going to get cut in half. If you measure this whole thing is like a descending triangle. Let me just get rid of some of this stuff. This whole thing is just a descending wedge triangle that we've broken through again. And so this is just a monster. Whenever you have a range from high to low here of $200, just take half of that and you can whack $100 off this area here. So I think we're going to $180 or less in Zoom. Okay, guys, thank you. I'll see you back tomorrow, 4:30 Eastern time. Again, if you would leave a review one way or another, I would really appreciate it. So thanks, everybody, and have a good trading day tomorrow.
All right, Mark. Later.
Thanks, Dwight. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.